Aloha! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube and my subscribers. I got another crazy one for you today. I mentioned something about this a couple of videos ago. This is probably going to be the craziest story ever. It's not really about disappearances, but it's something that happens in a national park, and it's very, very ominous and scary because it's got a lot to do with the law and loopholes and all kinds of bull crap. But I think I mentioned this on the Missing 411 alternative forum on Facebook, and I actually sent a couple of videos to some people in certain forums about it, and everybody was completely freaked out and shocked. Well, got the story for you here today, folks, and this story is about the zone of death in Yellowstone National Park. Now, this is definitely something that you're probably gonna freak out at, even though I'm pretty sure some of you probably already seen that little video I put on that forum. And if you haven't, I got the story for you right here. Now, first of all, imagine a place so remote you can't access this place by road. Now, there's no sign of humans. You're in the wilderness and you're on top of a volcanic hotspot. Now, you might say it's the perfect place to kill someone. Now, as an added bonus, you might even get away with it. Now, thanks to a bizarre legal loophole and a twist of fate, a very negative twist of fate, this can actually happen. Where is it, you ask? Like I said earlier, welcome to Yellowstone, people, one of America's largest national parks. It's an area of nearly 9,000 square kilometers straddling 3 states, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana. Okay? Now, it's also home to the mysterious zone of death. Once again. Now, the region first made global headlines in 2007 thanks to a thriller called Free Fire by C.J. Cox. Now, his novel is based on the premise that an 80 square kilometer section of the park is beyond the reach of the law. The concept was first suggested by Professor Brian Kalt in 2005. He describes it as a judicial no man's land. Now, this is where a murderer could get off scot-free due to sloppy lawmaking. You know, that seems to happen all the time with a lot of things when people seem to get off after doing something really insane or stupid, like these road cops that be doing a lot of things and they get caught on camera doing it, but when they go to court, what happens? The police department protects them and they get off practically scot-free by just them being slapped on the wrist, and they get, sent home with pay. I mean, if they got families, I can understand that. But if you do something wrong and it is morally wrong and humanly wrong, you still should get convicted of something, or you should be reprimanded in the worst way possible. But that doesn't happen. You want to know why? Because of sloppy lawmaking. Happens all the time. It's been happening for decades all over the planet. But anyway, now the more he dug into it, the more he got. The more interested he got. Now, people have this fascination with uncovering a loophole for the perfect crime. There are a lot of different approaches to this, but in terms of geography, there's just one spot, and this one spot, people, is the zone of death. Scary. Now, how does it work, you might ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. Even though Yellowstone is in 3 states, the whole thing falls into the federal district of Wyoming. The legal technicalities are pretty dry, but Vox summarized it like this. I believe Vox is like a magazine company, I guess. But anyway, okay. Now, say 2 people are camping in the Idaho part of Yellowstone. They get into a fight, and one kills the other. But rather than cover it up, he admits it. He's entitled to be tried by jury. According to the 6th Amendment, The jury should be people from that particular state of Ohio and federal district of Wyoming, since it happened in both areas, of course. Now, this is also where the murder was committed, but no one lives in the Idaho part, so it's impossible to get a jury. Now, since he can't be guaranteed a fair trial, he walks free. Now, doesn't that just bake your brain, folks? I mean, seriously? Loopholes in the government, in the federal government, and in the law itself. It just makes you wonder, why do we even have a government? It makes no sense. I mean, it's like they get away with all this bullshit, and you just like let it happen. You know something's wrong, but you know that you got the power to keep you from getting in trouble. Okay. Anyway, now another question I'm pretty sure you're asking is, what are the exceptions when it comes to these kind of crimes? Well, the crime needs to be bad enough to warrant a jury. Lesser offenses are resolved by a judge, of course, who is perfectly entitled to impose fines or even short jail sentences. Also, the whole thing has to happen in the park, which means the decision to murder someone must be spontaneous. So don't get any ideas, okay? I'm just saying, don't do it. But anyway, if it were orchestrated elsewhere, the defendant could be charged with something like conspiracy to commit murder in another district. Okay. Now, another question you might ask is, has it ever been tested? Oh, yes, it has. Now, the zone of death was put to the test once in 2005 when a hunter illegally shot an elk. He was standing in the Montana part of the park when he pulled the trigger, but he was indicted in Wyoming. And of course, that's because the elk died in Wyoming while he was standing in Montana. It's so weird. It's like in one of those movies where you're on a borderline, right? Let's just say you're walking down the street. The borderline ends right here, okay? So on this side, you got Mexico, but on this side, you got the United States, which will probably be Canada. So you got 1 foot in Canada, but you got another foot. I mean, not 1 foot in. Well, yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, let's say 1 foot in Mexico and 1 foot in whatever state comes before Mexico. You know, so you're like a conflict of interest. You got 1 foot on being scot free, and the other foot in the area where you can easily get arrested. Now, let's just say you see a cop coming, right? And this is like a joke that I seen in a movie once. I think it was in Blue Streak, I believe, with Martin Lawrence and that guy that was in Shawshank Redemption. Let's just say you see the cop coming, and you got 1 foot on the state before Mexico, and 1 foot in Mexico, and you're playing Russian roulette or cat and dog with this guy, and he's coming towards you, and he's saying, "Stop, freeze," right? So as soon as he get to a certain point where you can just fool with him, you take your foot off of that state, where while you're in between the borderline, and you put both feet in Mexico, right? So that means at that point he can't do nothing to you. Now, that used to be the loophole where as long as you're over that line, they can't do anything to arrest you because you're in Mexican territory. But I think you can still grab the person and pull him back back over the borderline into the state that he was in before he reached Mexico. I think that was the joke part, where if you got 1 foot in one state and the other foot in the state you're trying to get to, as long as you got both feet on that, over that line, you scot free still. They can't go beyond that point. But I would imagine if you're close enough and they grab you and they pull you back over, you really ain't got no other choice. I don't know how that works, but that was the joke about that, a long time ago. So I would hope that is a true thing. That as long as you standing on that line and he's here, he can't touch you. But you gotta make sure you run far enough in order for him not to get you. But I don't know that like I said, I won't say I would hope that that's true, but that like I said, that was the joke. But anyway, back to the story. Now, he successfully argued he had the right to be tried by jurors from Montana. And while people do live in that section, there are too few residents to form a legitimate jury. Now, the court dismissed the argument out of hand precisely because it would imply that Yellowstone contained a zone of death. So that means the guy who killed the elk got off scot-free, and so did the park. Because if a murder was committed in the park and they knew you had a zone of death, oh, Yellowstone will be going down big time. It's bad enough they got a freaking caldera, sitting in the middle of Yellowstone that could go off at any time, but to know that you got a zone of death where people can commit a crime and not get convicted for it, that's like the perfect crime in the middle of something that's very active. I mean, I'm talking about tourists coming from all over trying to go to the parks and, camp and hike and do whatever else. But yeah, that is weird and insane. I never thought that I would ever see something like that before in my life. I mean, I've heard of a lot of loopholes and a lot of, laws that tend to protect people who are bad people. Like the Dr. Kevorkian thing. I mean, whenever he killed people, as long as he had the consent from the person that wanted to die, they couldn't convict the man. He went to court, but he got off scot-free because they had to look at the consent of the person that wanted to die, his own patient. So if they told him he wanted to die, that was the loophole. He couldn't get tried because that's considered not committing a murder. They tried to say that he was committing murder by killing people, but if they told him that I want you to kill me, then how is that murder? That's the loophole right there. That's weird. I don't know what's going on with him now, but I'm pretty sure he could still be doing what he's always been doing, with the consent of his patients. But I don't know. He may have lost his practice because of that. But if he hasn't, it's not making news anymore. It's just like if something happened, like a crime. If it's not big enough to hit the news, hit the airwaves, it's not going to make it because people get found dead every single day. Okay, but a lot of it don't make the news. It just, they go there, they take care of the problem, and then they bury the person or whatever. It's just like, I don't know if you guys even heard about this or seen it, but if you're living in Georgia, a couple of months ago, there was a huge tractor trailer accident that involved, I think, 18 cars. And about 18 people were critically injured. One was dead. So, I think it was 18, and one of the 18 was dead. They died in a car fire, which was caused by the car being struck by the truck. I was driving by this area. It was a two-way highway. We call that 316 here. And I'm trying to get to work at the time, and I noticed in the distance I see smoke billowing up from the ground, and I'm like, oh, it must be something like a car accident or a car fire or something. I don't know. Maybe they were burning some wood or the grass caught fire because it was hot that day. And I'm driving. I'm coming up to it, and I can see the lights from from the police cars flashing and the fire trucks, and I started hearing the sirens. I was like, oh snap, this must be a pretty big accident. The closer I got, I started seeing more and more, and then I saw the trailer, and then I saw a little shimmer of fire, and the closer I got, it got even hotter because the heat from the fire was just billowing all over the place. It covered pretty much both sides of the highway. And as I'm driving past this 18-wheeler, I'm seeing all this destruction. I'm seeing like let's just say you got a piece of foil paper and you crumble it up into a ball, and it has all these ridges and ripples in it. That's what some of them cars look like, especially this van that got hit from behind. It was completely crushed in. And I just I had my camera out and I was recording it, and I just happened to drive past this one part. I was looking underneath the truck, and I could see a person sitting in a car seat being burned alive. You could see the legs flapping from the flames or the clothing he was wearing. It was the most insane scene I've ever seen in my life. I didn't even know I even caught that on camera until my aunt said something about it when I sent it to her. And she said, that looks like a person burning alive in a car seat. And I'm like, what? So I got out the video and I looked carefully. It said it's on fire. She said it was on fire. I'm like, whoa. So I looked at it and I was like, whoa. That freaked me out because I didn't even realize I even caught it because, like I said, I was trying to get to work, right? So, weird, man. That was probably the most scariest thing I ever seen in my life. I mean, it was bad enough I saw people lying in the grass, all banged up, and it looked like one of them was actually dead, but they weren't. They were just hurt real bad. And the scorch mark that was on the street when the car caught on fire is still there to this day. You know, it burnt the asphalt or the tar on the road, and it's like a big old band of it that stretches all the way across, to the other side of the lane. So that was insane. Here's the crazy part. As soon as I got to work early enough to take care of what I had to take care of, which was I sent that video to every newsroom in Georgia, and my video made 10 o'clock news on Fox 5. Okay, I was the first one to report it, and they started getting tweets from all of them. I'm saying, okay, where did this happen? What time did it happen? Do we have your permission to use your video on camera and on the news, and we'll make sure you get your credit for it? And that credit was obviously them just put my name up there, because that was just me. I was talking. You can hear me talking in the background, but I was recording the whole thing. It was insane. I never even got a chance to watch my own video on the news because I was at work. I couldn't get away at the time. My mom said it was on, but in the break room there's a TV in there where everybody's watching. So I didn't want to just turn and while everybody's watching something. So I just said, I was there. I saw it. I still got it on my camera. On my phone. So it's not like I can't see it, but it was just seeing it on TV. I was like, oh snap. Ooh, I'm famous, got my 50 minutes of fame. Well, that was more like 5 minutes or less, but still. Anyway, but yeah, guys, that is my time on this particular story. Yes, it is creepy, it is strange, and that lets you know that there are a lot of weird things going on out there, even in the law, to where a person can commit a crime in an area that is void of people and jurors and the right for him to be tried and convicted. All because of a loophole, just because there's no people living in the area where you killed them. So like he said, if you standing over here, but you kill someone over there, as long as you standing in this part where there's no people, and you kill someone over there that has the courtroom that you need to be in, since the person died in that area, it's like a wall. They can't get past that wall to come get you so you can be tried. So you safe in this area because there's no people, but over here there is. That's weird. Anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be returning to you probably later with another story. If not, I will see you first thing tomorrow to post the video of the interview I have been telling you guys about. It is going to be the interview of all interviews. I don't even think not one person I know of got an interview like this. It is going to knock your socks off. So I am going to talk to her some more, and we're gonna get things set up for the interview for tomorrow, and I will see you guys that day. So have a great night. Aloha, mahalo, and ahui ho. Peace out, guys.